May I have your attention, please? So, welcome back. As we move ahead exploring few important topics on preparedness of states to tackle various forms of disasters, the theme of this session is state preparedness for worst case scenario. We shall be witnessing presentations from the representatives of UPSDRF, Kerala, and Assam. We are about to start the second session, so let me introduce this eminent gathering to the chair and co-chair for this session. The session will be chaired by Shri Hitesh S. Makwana, IAS, ASDM, and co-chaired by Shri Kunal Satyarthi, JSDM, MHA. Shri Hitesh S. Makwana IAS is presently working as Additional Secretary, Disaster Management in Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India. Academically, he is a civil engineer and also done Masters in Economics. He has also done Advanced Management Program in Public Policy from Indian School of Business, Hyderabad. He has more than 33 years of experience in government sector. He has worked as Assistant Engineer in Gujarat Water Supply Board in remote drought affected areas of Vav and Tharad talukas of North Gujarat. He was district collector in Pudukkottai district in Tamil Nadu and managed drought of 2002-3. He was also project director of Tsunami Rehabilitation Project in Tamil Nadu after the devastating tsunami. He has wide experience in urban governance. He has worked as Municipal Corporation Commissioner of Coimbatore, Joint Commissioner of Municipal Administration in Tamil Nadu. He was the Managing Director of Tamil Nadu Urban Finance and Infrastructure Development Corporation. He was Principal Secretary in Housing and Urban Development in Government of Tamil Nadu. He has worked in different capacities in Ministry of Shipping, Ministry of Home Affairs and National Mission for Cleaning Ganga in Government of India. About Shri Kunal Satyarthi, he is an Indian Forest Services officer of 1997 batch. He has served in various capacities in the state of Himachal Pradesh, Principal CAS FOS ADG Media and Extension, ICFRE, Head Silviculture, FRI at Dehradun and Member Secretary HIM COSTE, HP State Biodiversity Board, Space Application Center and HP Climatic Change Center at Shimla, Himachal Pradesh. His professional expertise of about 2 decades in the field of natural resource management, working in the Himalayan state of Himachal Pradesh in various ministries and departments. He obtained academic experience in scientific research at the Forest Research Institute, Dehradun and ICFRE, training expertise especially in forestry, biodiversity, environment laws, obtained as a faculty member and thereafter as the Director of Central Academy for State Forest Services. His current assignment involves statutes, policies and guidelines with respect to various disasters with special expertise on climate change, loss and damage, forest fire, heat wave, lightning and thunderstorm, post-disaster need assessment at international, national and state level. Now I request Honorable Chair and Co-Chair to kindly introduce the topic as well as speakers to the profound audiences. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon to everyone. As you all know that this session is immediately after lunch, so it's tough to attend this kind of heavy subjects after lunch. But anyhow, we will try to keep you people awake. Our topic is state preparedness for worst case scenarios. As all of us know that, and today morning our Honorable Minister also mentioned that you cannot avoid disaster. Means natural disaster is keep happening, but we have to be ready to face this disaster so that minimum loss of life and minimum damages to infrastructure happen. Many times we keep telling that let us hope for the best and prepared for the worst. So this is a scenario which is a worst case scenario, how we have to we are prepared. This is the topic of our afternoon session. We have 3 speakers. One is from Uttar Pradesh. He will speak on flood preparedness. We have Anuj Paliwal. He is a commandant in Kerala. He will speak on landslide threats, incidents and preparedness for future. And we have Irfan Khan, I think. Okay. And he will speak on lessons from Silchar Floods 2022. And all these things are relevant because this basically, you all know that this is for the flood preparedness meeting. Earlier, state relief commissioners, similar kind of annual workshop was held in month of May. That was on 9th of May. All state relief commissioners were there. And what macro level, many issues were discussed. Now, after that, there was another one meeting which was headed by our Home Minister himself, in which all important central government ministries officials were present in that also, means how we are prepared for ensuing monsoon season. That was discussed under chairmanship of our Honorable Home Minister. Today we are going one step further, and now this discussion is how our response mechanism would be. And on 13th of June, again there will be meeting of all state ministers who are looking after disaster management in the state. So that will be presided again by our Home Minister. In same Vigyan Bhavan we are having this meeting. So so this is my opening remarks. This is and you are from all state governments and involved in the response mechanism. You know that in disaster management there are basically 4 stages for us. One is mitigation, then preparedness and capacity building, response and relief, then recovery and reconstruction. So your role is most important in that second stage, response and relief. So with this my opening remarks, I request all of you to try to be involved and awake in this session. Now I will request Kunal Satyarthi, who is the Joint Secretary in NDMA, will give his opening remarks. And after that, we will request Dr. Satish Kumar to make his presentation.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thanks to the chair, Makwana sir, Additional Secretary, Disaster Management in MHA. And as sir has already told that this is normally in training academy. I have been in the training academy. This is called the graveyard session. So if you are supposed to be taking a session after lunch, it is supposed to be extremely difficult session. I agree to the chair that it is difficult, but with the kind of panelists we have, it looks like going to be a very important session, because all the panelists come from the real field situations. So we have a panelist coming from Uttar Pradesh, Dr. Satish Kumar, talking about flood challenges. So the sessions are not taken by the NDMA or MHA or the NDRF. The sessions are actually owned and operated by the states concerned. So it is the liability of the state governments to keep the other state governments awake. So we have very interesting session from Dr. Satish Kumar, whom I know for last 1.5 years, who is building up the UP SDRF on his own shoulders and his own commitment to the cause. So he would be telling you the real ground situation about not only preparedness for flood, but also about how does the state government of UP respond without resorting to the national requirements of NDRF. They have a very good mechanism of flood before the SDRF also. So they have a huge police armed battalions which are trained for flood situation. Then we have one from landslides from the state of Kerala. And as we know that I was looking at the weather forecast, it says instead of first, the monsoon is coming on the 7th in Kerala. So Kerala looks nice right now. After 7th, Kerala will have to go through the problems of extreme water falling on and the landslides thereof. So he would be telling about what it looks like to be in Kerala and how the state government manages the landslides and mitigates the problems of a lot of water falling on a piece of land very quickly. And then we have one from Assam, because last year's example of Assam was must be very important to capture. Assam went through rigorous amounts of water, many waves of rainfall. So first wave, second wave, third wave of rainfall, and the problem thereof. Assam is having huge problems of erosion and flood, and is trying to tackle on their own. So we are looking forward to 3 great presentations from 3 states which are facing the music of too much water. So I think water is what we are. Water and temperature are the main concern, and the topic says state preparedness for worst case scenarios. So I think I'm looking forward to that, and with the permission of the chair, I think we can invite the first speaker, Dr. Satish Kumar, who is heading the SDRF in Uttar Pradesh. And I'll request the state government's presentations to be as grounded as possible and tell more about the experiences rather than getting into the theory of the things. Thank you.
I think just to keep everyone awake, we can have question and answer session immediately after every speaker, so that people will get little bit involved. Otherwise, if we will keep after all the 3 presentations, then involvement will be slightly tough. So let us 15 minutes presentation and 5 minutes can be question and answer. So I hope Satish will be in position to complete within 15 minutes. That's what both the chair and co-chair told.
Good afternoon, everyone, sir. Good afternoon, Chair, Honorable Chair, sir. Good afternoon, members on the dais and Honorable Seniors and Honorable Officers from various states present here. I would like to give a presentation on flood challenges in Uttar Pradesh during monsoon and the role of SDRF UP.
बाढ़ के समय भी एनडीआरएफ हो या एसडीआरएफ, पीएससी की फ्लड यूनिट हो या फिर यहां पर उपस्थित आपदा मित्र जैसे स्वयंसेवक, ये पूरी जी जान से लग करके, प्रशासन के साथ लग करके, पुलिस के साथ लग करके, जनप्रतिनिधियों के साथ लग करके जनधन की हानि को रोकने के लिए प्रभावी कदम उठाते हैं।
हम लोगों ने 12 दिन की SDRF हेडक्वार्टर्स में ट्रेनिंग ली है, जिसमें हमें CPR, स्नेक बाइट, फर्स्ट एड और बाकी कई चीजों के बारे में हम लोगों को बताया जाता है। मूविंग द पेशेंट एंड लिफ्टिंग द पेशेंट के बारे में भी हमें बताया जाता है। और हम लोगों को एक तरह से 12 दिन के कैंप में इतना ट्रेन कर दिया गया है कि कोई भी डिजास्टर अगर आएगा तो हम लोग मेडिकल फर्स्ट रिस्पॉन्डर की तरफ से एक अच्छी सर्विस दे सके।
Thank you, everyone. This video briefly summarizes what I'm going to present today. Introduction, weather forecast and deployment, pre-deployment of SDRF, general floods, actions to deal challenges, role of Abda myths and Abda Sakhis during floods, our lessons learned and suggestions for future and worst case scenario. Next. So flood is a situation where water temporarily covers a land where it normally doesn't, and can be of various types: flash, river, coastal flood, urban flood, ponding flood. And especially in North India, the 60% of area is flooded area by the Ganga Brahmaputra Meghna basin, and Ganga river region and the northwest river region especially affect the Uttar Pradesh. And in Uttar Pradesh there are about 31 rivers and various river basins which are affected by floods, and they may occur during the June, July, August, September, or maybe during October also, as last 2 years it is happening because of the Nepal floods and the international transboundary rivers. Out of these 40 districts in UP are very much affected by flood, and 16 are sensitive and 24 are hypersensitive flood affected districts. So we have to keep in mind during planning these districts, and not only during floods, before and after also we have to take care of these districts, especially during floods, but they may happen anywhere. So weather forecast is done by the IMD under Ministry of Earth Sciences, Lucknow. We take the help of Nepal government website also during our planning, and this is the current deployment, but it will change. We will discuss with the NDRF, as was Commandant sir from Varanasi was discussing with me. So we will have a pre-deployment and pre-positioning to have an effective arrangement throughout the Uttar Pradesh to have a multiplier effect. So we before the flood, action taken to deal with the situation is capacity building and protective gear and equipments. So we conduct mock drill session for SDRF, PAC personals, and in collaboration with the NDMA, SDMA and DDMAs. And also we go for the assessing the personal protective gear and communication equipment and requirement for the flood events. And we conduct the necessary repair, purchase, and of all these before the flood event is done. And all DDMA, SDMA, SDRF, PAC and NDRF all are involved in that. Similarly, for evacuation, we deploy our personnel and carry on the search, rescue and evacuation during the flood. And again, protective gear and equipments are taken in consideration. For capacity building, we go for awareness generation before the floods, and this is a very important part of flood response, because we are not the first ones to reach the flood place. These are the local people, local self-help groups, local community members, local community leaders, Gram Sabha members, and others who are present at the site. So we organize public meetings, Gram Sabha, school sessions, meetings of the self-help groups at village level, and tell them the do's and don'ts during the disaster, and especially take how the community cooperation should be taken care for the children's, pregnant women, and physically challenged persons during the disaster, especially the floods, and how to maintain a good hygiene for prevention of the water diseases, waterborne disease, and keeping a family survival kits also with them. Task forces are formed, and they are trained in the early warning dissemination of and coordination with the block level authorities, and safe evacuation, search and rescue, how is to be done, and first aid and camp management, how it should be done is given to them. Training is given to them, and the mock drills are also conducted. And we make a communication plan, and the whole state flood control relief center, a control room is made, and that control room, along with all the dial 112, 1070 is the disaster helpline, as well as other methods. We get the information in the SDRF control room, and then we communicate it to various teams and incident commanders and senior officers and everybody, and even to the media. This is an organization chart starting from the Honorable DGP sir through the ADG PAC. SDRF is under the Police Armed Constabulary in Uttar Pradesh, and then we communicate it to the last person in our teams. And every year, like this year also, NDMA will be conducting a meeting for the National Integrated Response System in Uttar Pradesh by taking meetings and tabletop exercises. Mock drills will also be conducted like last year, and that will help develop our capacity before the floods. And the shortcomings during these exercises and during the debriefing session will be given to us, and these guidelines will help us improve during the disaster. Especially we get a lot of help because of the NDMA's meetings and mock drills, that senior officers in the field come to the mock exercises, because when we tell them, they don't come, but when NDMA is involved, they have to be there in the field. So all the administration, civil administration, police, Abda Mits, NDRF, civil defense, NGOs, Army, Air Force and Navy, very important role. they all play an important role during the mock drills exercises. Now, challenges before the flood. We are developing state disaster response force. We have infrastructure being developed there. Swimming pool is not there, so we need to train our guys at various places for swimming. We need more of boats and flood equipment which are being procured. We have been allotted 74 crores by the government this year, which is so early, and we will be able to procure them. Inadequate early warning devices are there. Coordination with the local administrators sometimes is an issue, which we resolve because we talk to the DMs and SPs and they resolve the issues. And moreover, requirement of more trained rescuers are there. Team deployment, again in coordination with the various agencies. Equipment maintenance we have to do before the floods, and lack of knowledge of local area sometimes becomes an issue. Dead body bags for humans as well as animals. This is a very important point, as we could see in a disaster just a few days back. There were some bodies lying, but there were no dead body bags which can cover them in a opaque manner, means in a very dignified manner. So they should be always be carried by the teams. Awareness programs are definitely, we should cover them. Chlorine tablets for pure water. Not knowing the exact time of flood is also a challenge. Sometimes we wait throughout the July, August, September, but flood comes in October. Then we have our training programs allotted at that time, again becomes a challenge for us. Visits, VIP visits, again, people ignore the initial flood warning. They remain in their villages and houses, don't take out their animals and their important equipments from their home. They remain at their home and then tent for camping in the flooded area. Again, we should innovate on that, and something can be done. Then evacuation route should be planned at a high-rise camp, and camp management exercise again is a challenge. We should prepare a plan, do mock exercises, tabletop exercises, and pre-positioning before the flood season, and conducting the community awareness programs, confidence building programs, FEMEX, along with various teams of NDRF and not only SDRF, but other civil defense and other organizations can be roped into. And to enhance and integrate the disaster response capacity of the local people, Aabda myths can be utilized in that. And we can conduct awareness campaigns and ignore rumors and keep all the equipments like communication equipment ready. And then listening to the latest news and updates and knowing the safe routes to the nearest shelter or raised pakka house. And we should store enough for ready to eat food and water for at least a week. That should be our target. And be aware of the flash flood areas where a flash flood can come, like canals, streams or drainage channels. And we have made a SOP also for our SDRF for flood as well as mock exercises.
Dr. Satish, last 2 minutes.
Sir.
Okay. Yeah.
And sir, the challenges again are more during the floods. We have a lot of challenges like panic demand from the SDRF teams is there. Ignoring the indigenous absence of female rescuers also is a challenge for us. Network, and we have a lack of, you can say, vehicles when the flood comes. At that time, a lot of vehicles are needed, law and order problem. Then sometimes puncture, snake bites, local language issues sometimes are there, basic necessities, sometimes lack of coordination issues are there. And also lightning is also an issue in Uttar Pradesh. It may hamper our... So after flood, again, various challenges are there, disease, animal feed and fodder, disposal of bodies of animals as well as human beings, recurrence of flood may occur. And after floods, we should again do a documentation of all the activities we have done and advise the people for what to do and what not to do during the floods. And during the last 4 years, we have saved around 4,000 people and 255 animals. And Aabda myths and Aabda Sakhis have been trained by SDRF Uttar Pradesh. They have been around 7,352 Aabda myths we have trained, and they will be, our Honorable CM has announced that they will be trained for all the 75 districts in UP. So lessons learned, sir, one last point just I will conclude is that increased demand during the floods. What happens that other disaster exercises, like if some other disaster strikes at that time, then it becomes very difficult because of the limited teams of SDRF, UP. So I have broken the protocol of keeping all the flood equipments and all the disaster equipments in one vehicle. So we have broken the team and utilized more number of our workforce to do different disaster activities during the same disaster. And also we keep in mind the various data of the rivers and the flooding, maroon villages population affected, and not the demands of the DM which is asked. So in future, sir, just to conclude that we can train the local people, Malla, Nishad community, Naviks, which are there, so that they can be given the equipments and they can go for the dead body retrieval or any other small works which NDRF, SDRF need not do. And we can have advanced courses, master trainer courses for our Abda Mits, and we can also have for logistics hub and spoke model for both warehouses, and recognition for the work of the various SDRF and NDRF PACs and NGOs can be given to persons, and we can be given POL funds also, and various other suggestions are also there, sir. Sir, one last slide, sir, is worst case scenario. So in that I have already told that in case of a flood disaster, other disasters may also happen. So we need more of vehicles, trained manpower, and we should keep in reserve that not only floods can strike in Uttar Pradesh during any time from June to October, but other disasters can also take place. So we should have a reserve of teams and equipments which can help, which can find a balance between both the disasters and help us out. Thank you very much.
Dr. Satish Kumar, he made. So, as you already heard him, SDRF, they are not the first responder. Community is the first responder. So, more and more awareness among community, I think community leaders, and they should also be trained. So, that is one good point he made. He also mentioned about, because they have international border. So, they are also collecting data from Nepal Meteorological Department. So that is in the flood preparation activities, UP is keeping this also in view. It's quite praiseworthy. Same thing, they are also having an excellent communication plan, and they are fully utilizing the social media. Only my point, I think here, I will just mention that in 15th Finance Commission, there is a 10% SDRF, that is a State Disaster Response Fund, Relief Fund, which Government of India is releasing to the state governments. In that, 10% is specifically earmarked for preparedness and capacity building. So nowadays, if that 10%, if it is not been used properly, then the issue related to preparedness is not proper. Those kind of things will come. If we use this 10% for preparedness and capacity building, it will be quite a substantial amount, because whole for 5 years we have total 1,60,000 crore rupees for disaster management for whole country, and this 1,63,000, that 10% is 16,000 crore over a period of 5 years in the country. So every year we are having more than 3 crores on an average, and it goes to the state also. So all this response force can take up this issue with the state finance department through relief commissioner. This 10% preparedness and capacity building fund can be used only for the preparedness and capacity building. So that some challenges which mentioned related to non-availability of vehicles or non-availability of fund for preparedness will be taken care of. So with this, I think we can open up for questions and answers. So floor is open.
Yes, Satish. Just now I was interacting And he said he was appreciating you that you are going to give a good presentation and you have done extremely well in this field, SDRF field. So during flood situations, in some places what we have noticed, the people are reluctant to move from their area along with their animals, pet animals. So but how you were able to, I saw your slide. So the progressive improvement, we could say that in 2020 or 21, the number of people shifted from the affected area increased. So how it was possible? Was it through only the awareness program or some kind of thing you have just made it to improve them?
Sir, it was because of more dynamic utilization of the SDRF, sir. The teams are the same number, sir. But what happens, sir, when flood is there, sir, in a river basin, sir, it will first affect a particular district, then next district, then other district, as it water flows, sir. So earlier, it was on the demand of the district magistrate, sir. We would set team to any of the district. But now, sir, with the help of relief commissioner, sir, he sends us the data of the maroon villages as well as the number of people affected as well as the river water level, sir. So we plan accordingly. We don't listen to the DM, sir. I discuss with the relief commissioner, sir. He's a senior officer. So he only tells me that don't send this team to this district. I know the DM is asking, I will deny that. You don't deny. So you send when the actual situation is worsened as per the analytical data, sir. So it helps us with the same number of teams, sir. More rescue could be done with the better planning, sir. Sir, now, sir, one major thing has happened in Uttar Pradesh, sir. As per the NDMA and SDMA, sir, we are now training Abda Mit, sir. And more number of awareness programs and community awareness programs and familiation exercises are there, sir. So now people have more faith in SDRF, NDRF and other forces, sir. So when we tell them, they have a confidence in us that they will, we are there to save them. So they move with us, sir.
What the SAR has also said, so that they are giving, central government is giving more amount for the state government to improve, to build the capacity building. So with this money we can utilize for the awareness programs also in that flood prone areas. That's what I can understand. Thank you very much.
Sir, I am Narendra Bundela, IG NDRF. Thank you very much, sir, for informing about this 10% funding available for capacity building. So while organizing for this SDRF conference, we are taking feedback from all the SDRFs. And most of the SDRFs have raised the issue of the funding only, regarding equipment, training, headquarter. So, and they were saying that even though states are getting fund for under SDRF fund, but they are not getting enough fund for themselves from that central funding scheme. So the suggestion was that if SDRF can also be allotted some fund, either through the state or some direct funding, so that they can really build their capacity. So your observation will be very important for this. Thank you, sir.
Actually, this is a very tricky issue because you know our system is a federal government. So I think it's very difficult for the federal government to specifically direct you do this, you do that, because they will give money on their own wisdom. But yes, point is well taken. Whenever there is a state relief commissioners meeting, in that we can definitely highlight this matter. Even when honorable ministers, when they are coming on 13th, that time also we will insist, because this 10% is this finance commission guidelines. So states are also supposed to use this 10%, and they have to use. And the SDRF, relief commissioners, they have to keep making noise to their finance department, then they will otherwise, normally what is happening in most of the states, they are utilizing more for that relief, that fund is being utilized more. But yes, that may be also required. But it has to be planned properly, and we will also keep insisting to the states to provide fund for the preparedness and capacity. So actually what this guidelines, it says that SDRF, what fund we are allotting, so 50% fund will go for response and relief. Then 37.5% will go for recovery and reconstruction, and 12.5. So why I am telling, because this what I told 10%, 10% is of 80%, because that 20% is goes for national the state disaster mitigation fund. So that is a 20%, and this balance 80% में ये 10% preparedness and capacity building का है. But guideline says, means recommendation, it says that means state government on the basis of their local condition, this can be means internally they can do reallocation. But point is well taken. We will also try to take up with the states.
Sir, just to add to your point, sir, I would like to add my experience, sir. Whenever, sir, SDRF UP has asked for any money, sir, to the government of Uttar Pradesh, and maybe in other states also, sir, they've always given us the money. The problem is with us, sir. We could not utilize that, sir.
Actually, fund is always a pertinent way for, if you ask any department, every time everyone will tell that finance has not allotted fund. So it's a process, and in that how much you are in a position to sell idea, it depends on that. Those who are making efforts, definitely they are getting funds, but you have to pursue. If not this year, you may get next year. If you may not get immersive, there are so many occasions in which we prepare a fantastic proposal. We go, we make presentation, and then it will not be accepted, so we get dejected. Then we will just sell this proposal. Instead of that, again means rework and come back again. So I think persistent follow-up definitely means people will listen to our issues. If and sometimes what happens, we have to immediately utilize that flood season. Someplace we could not reach out, we could not show proper response. So that time means we can immediately say that please you sanction this proposal, it will be more useful. I think little persuasion, this we will be in position to get fund.
Good afternoon, sir. Myself, Anil, second in command from 15th NDRF. My question to Dr. Satish, sir. Like during presentation, it was mentioned that UP SDRF store enough food to cater for the food requirement during flood. So, like, what provisions UP SDRF have for this? Like, do you like have provision for MRE, like meal ready to eat, or like what provisions do we have to provide the food to the needy during flood? Thank you.
Yes. Actually, I told the challenges for the food. So what we do, we don't carry our food and ration in Uttar Pradesh. I've discussed with my teams that it will be a challenging situation under a flood to cook a food and ready to eat food, carrying that.
Actually, it's for rescuers you mentioned. It's for rescuers,
Yeah. So
not to victims.
Yeah, for us only, I'm telling.
I see.
Not for victims. So we depend on the district administration for that, and they help us out. So we focus purely on our rescue operations and not on carrying a follower and all the utensils and पूरा किचन ले जाना और वहाँ पे establish करना flood situation में. Already वहाँ पे electricity नहीं है, gas नहीं है, fuels नहीं है. So we depend on the district administration. They help us out.
Fine, sir, fine. I thought it is for needy, like for victims.
No.
Thank
That
you.
is for the, I think, district administration. Normally they, with the help of public distribution system shops, that is PDA shop, they store sufficiently for that area. I think he meant normally all states they do like this.
Sir, thank you, sir.
Co-chair, you have anything to
Just to add discussion that is happening, I think I remember last year we had a regional conclave of flood affected states in Lucknow, and the Honorable Chief Minister was there, and he made a statement. I remember two statements, and that he reiterated again on 1st June, during the foundation stone of the SDMA complex that is coming up in Lucknow. One that he told that I believe a lot in dredging. So massive dredging operations, no civil works, no investment into constructing more units is happening. He's full time into dredging operations and cleaning up the rivers for the water to flow. That is one important thing. Second, the emphasis on community is quite tremendous. You must have heard his statement because we are funding Apada Mitra in only some of the important districts in Uttar Pradesh. Uttar Pradesh has already taken a resolve that they will train equal amount of people or more in all the districts of Uttar Pradesh. So I think community involvement is quite critical for the stuff that is happening in Uttar Pradesh. So that's only addition from my side. We can take to the next presentation.
Yeah, we can now go for the next presentation. But before just going to the next presentation, one small thing with the permission of our Lieutenant General Ata Hassan sir's permission, I just want to mention that some of the states, if they are in need of some additional Abda Mitras to be trained, if your that requirement, if you can communicate, we can rework on this. Even we can sanction additional Abda Mitra volunteers to be trained. That is also possible. Plus, some of the states, they are not responding well. Those states also can be transferred to other states. So that already we are working on that. So whichever state is having that kind of requirement, please let us know. We will try to help you out. Because from central government fund, that is NDRF, what we are having 10% for preparedness and capacity building, that we are committed to fully utilize it. And we have already Abda Mitra scheme we have sanctioned. We also, that cap is also from the preparedness and capacity building. ERSS is also from the capacity preparedness and capacity building. So like that, central government is utilizing it. State government can also do that. So this, I thought, Abda Mitra scheme, whoever SDRF feel that is in that state, more number is required, we are also willing to help you out. So now I think we can go for second speaker, Sri Anuj Paliwal. He is Commandant from Kerala. So he will speak on the landslide threats.
Very good afternoon to the respected chair, officers on the dais, seniors officers, and all other officers present here. So as sir said, monsoon is coming to the Kerala, so situation will become very difficult. In 2018, Kerala, there are 14 districts in Kerala, and out of them 12 were suffering from floods. Along with floods are accompanied by landslides. In 2018 only, around 5,000 landslides occurred in the state of Kerala, and out of those 5,000, 3,000 occurred only in two districts, Wayanad and Idukki. So this was, I told this only just to give a picture how serious is the issue of landslides in Kerala. So I will be covering the following topics. First, landslide is a movement of downward and outward movement of earthly materials under the influence of gravity. In India, 15% area of our India is suffering from these problems, including Himalayas, northeastern hills, and western Ghats. This is the map showing the how much area is under the influence of landslides and what is the intensity. This Himalayas is most suffering, then northeastern and western Ghats. There are many types of landslide, but majority of landslides in India includes the slides, which is a movement of a mass of block parallel to the slope. Then flows. In flow, it is similar to slide, but high water content because of rain or any other any other cause. This movement, earthly materials along with water will move as a viscous fluid. And third major type is falls. In this, rock materials will fall under the direct influence of gravity. Kerala specific, most of the all districts of Kerala except Alappuzha are having some part of Western Ghats. So almost all districts are suffering from the issue of landslides. In recent years, because of climate change, issue has become more prominent. As per the government records, up to from 1961 to 2016, 295 deaths happened. But after 2018, only 170 deaths have been recorded. So this phenomena I would like to discuss soil piping. Most of the this hills in Kerala, their material is unconsolidated. So when rain come, the clay part of the material gets eroded. So it leads to formation of some tunnels, and over the period of time, these tunnels keeps on increasing, and it leads to a phenomena called soil piping, and it is a very major indicator of landslide in Kerala. I would start with one case study of Pettimodi. It is a small village situated in Idukki district near to Munnar. Interesting fact is there has been no instance of landslide before 2020, and experts used to consider it as a landslide free area. But landslide happened on August 6, 2020 in the night. Main reason was since August 3, this area was receiving very heavy rainfall. On August 3, rain was 111 millimeter, August 5, 93 mm, August 6, 309 mm. Most of the people living in that village are working in tea estates, and they were living in apartments which were provided by that company itself. This is the houses which were present there, but after landslide, they were completely vanished. So on 7th August in the morning, information was received at the police station. Here, the first information was a very small landslide has happened, and SHO was asked to send one SI and 2 police constables along with in that team. So this is a learning point for us. Why we need to educate our frontline workers. They need to assess how much severe is the issue. Had the information has been received, correct information had been received on time, a response could have been more faster. But again, supervisor of that company again called and told the actual situation. Then whole district administration came into action and rescue work started. This rescue operation included following things: communication. Idukki area is a hilly area. Generally, also communication is not very good there. Except BSNL, no other network has no other telecom has good network there. But because of rain and landslides, all communication had failed. So police along with the fire force have installed, with the help of BSNL, they have installed some towers so that at least basic communication can be started, and wireless of police was also working. Then electricity was also a problem because this operation required 24-hour work, but so in the night electricity was not available, so lights were arranged from the police stations so that operation can be carried out in the night also. In this incident, there were total 82 inhabitants in that area. Out of them, only 12 survived, 66 died, and 4 bodies could not be recovered. So, on the spot itself, inquest and other formalities was done, and body was handed over to the families of. Then during such operations, lot of people comes there. Some for genuine reasons, some for just for saying the things. So police was police was also tasked to only allow authorized persons to enter the space so that rescue operations can be carried out smoothly. Then Honorable CM, Honorable Governor of the Kerala also visited that place along with other dignitaries. So management of them is also a part of a rescue operation. Since that time COVID was on its peak, so proper measures were taken so that one disaster does not lead to another disaster. Proper use of masks, sanitizers, gloves, etc. were provided. Then liaising with various departments, police, fire force, district administration, NDRF teams, all were managed. Hurdles in rescue operation, we already discussed: communication failure, no electricity, all roads were washed away. Then terrain was very rough, weather was very bad. So all these things affects the rescue operation while it is being done in the real time. And second topic is a role of first responder. As we know, first responders are those members of the community who have survived and they are willing to help in the part of rescue operations, to give first aid to the injured and rehabilitate those who have survived. So we are saying since morning that how much important it is to invest in the training of first responders. Then police and fire force, since Kerala SDRF is notified but there is no strength, so police and fire force become the first responders who carry out the rescue work. So in Kerala, every police station keeps a list before the monsoon, keeps a list of those in the nearby areas what can be the probable rehabilitation camps, what number of JCB operators, phone numbers of hospitals, phone number of ambulance. So all these list is kept in each and every police station, and it is updated in the month of May every year. Similarly, fire force, the use of technology is today science is helping us in every field. So in disaster management also in every field, since preparation to the rescue and mitigation, technology can be, use of technology can be there. First I will start with how technology can be used for predicting the disaster. In Addl, Amrita University have developed one system where they help in predicting the landslides. They have surveyed the various areas and based on the characteristics and properties of soil of that area, they have made some sensors. At around 300 places, those sensors have been fitted and they give real-time data to one center which is formed there, and using artificial intelligence based on those indicators, the probability of landslide is examined. These sensors and this early warning system, it gives warning at 4 levels. First is these conditions are building up that landslide may happen. Second is just prior to the landslide, it is going to happen. Third warning will be movement has already started, and fourth, when it has already occurred. Then one NDMA along with IIT Mandi and DRDO have developed one early warning system. Here the sensors are placed at various locations, and some blinkers and hooters are placed on the roads. So whenever the sensors notice the movement of soil, this light and hooters will start working, and along with that they send message to the local authorities and local people so that action can be initiated. This Arduino is an open source chip, and it can be used for used as sensors. So that earlier phenomena I told about soil piping in Wayanad district, some sensors have been placed in these soil pipes, so that whenever moisture level in those pipes reaches below beyond a particular level, so these will give a signal so that people can be evacuated from that place before the landslide occurs. This use of UAVs can be used. So UAVs can also be used for determining the extent of disaster. So regarding this hazard mapping in Kerala, since 2018 onwards, GIS, Geographical Survey of India, will survey some locations, and it will give its report. Based on that, every year in 2018, total 689 units were relocated, and in 2019, 700 sites were relocated. Right now, forecast for rain is given at district level. So Wayanad have developed one community-based rainfall monitoring system. In this system, they have installed, in 2020 this number was 156, but now it has reached 300. Extent of rainfall is determined at local level, and based on that they have made one hazard map. Now when this hazard map is made, based on the severity of that location, other activities are restricted. Regular inspections are done by district administration, so that in highly hazardous areas no buildings are constructed. Challenges during landslide operations I discussed earlier is the same. Suggestions for future, first of all, those areas which are considered as highly landslide prone areas, construction and human activity shall be minimized there. Early warning system should be developed. In India we have a large pool of talent. We have IITs and NITs in almost every state, so we can give them projects to develop early warning systems. Then community level preparedness is among the best way to prevent this disaster and minimize the loss of life and property. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Anuj. I think it was a very important presentation on landslide, which is also another denomination of having more water on a piece of land. And thanks for that elaborate presentation. I think some things are very clear from the last slide, particularly about the early warning system. Is extremely difficult to predict a landslide, but vulnerability maps of landslides are available. And as suggested by Anuj, I think in NDMA also we had given a proposal to the IIT Mandi to develop a real-time landslide early monitoring system, which is at a very advanced stage. So they did put up accelerometers and measurement of water and all that. So those research parameters are being taken care of. But what most important thing is, you told about difficulty of communication. These are interior areas and you don't have any mobile networks. I think difficulty of electricity and power supply is very important to look at, and the possibility of gauging a situation turning very quickly very bad. So that is what are some of the learnings that come from Kerala. It's also about land use planning. How do you use land in a particular setup? So prepare the land to take up more water in a particular period of time. So with that, we open it up with the permission of the chair for 2 or 3 questions. So I see a raised hand from Surya Prakash, Professor Surya Prakash from NIDM.
प्रकाश जी आपको बाद में आपको चांस बाद में दिया जाएगा पहले हाँ states will get preference first and just I wanted to also inform to this August gathering we are coming up with a national landslide risk mitigation program. Is already NDMA has worked on it and it is getting fine-tuned. So in that as a first phase, of course, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, and northeastern states. So total 10 states are already there, and we are going to now add another states of this Western Ghats. So especially Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, and those states also we are going to include, and it's a national level program is there. So at least this 14 states which is having these issues of landslide, they can avail this fund. And in that we have early warning system also being developed. Plus Geological Survey of India is also coming up with micro maps for this landslides vulnerable area. So all this work is happening at the national level. Now I request audience to ask that question to Anuj. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Asif Mohammad Ali, sir, DIG, Fire and Emergency Services from Arunachal Pradesh. Arunachal, as you would be aware, sir, is also one of the severely affected state by the landslides. And just to share the figures to my colleague that in 2022, we had 121 incidents of landslides, wherein we had 17 deaths. Now, just a small suggestion, sir. I mean, as a student of geography also, I mean, maybe this National Disaster Risk Reduction Platform for the landslides especially, if this could factor the inputs from both the Geological Survey of India as well as the Forest Department. I mean, I happen to learn also that in the recent last 2 decades, for example, sir, Arunachal Pradesh has lost the maximum green cover amongst the Northeast region. Now, this could be definitely a kind of a mitigation platform where both Forest Department, federal as well as the state, and the Geological Survey need to factor in these 2 issues where long-term issues can be resolved.
So you have made a very pertinent point, and that was the suggestion from Ministry of Home Affairs when this proposal of this landslide risk mitigation project came. So we also requested the NDMA to also consult the State Forest Department. And some of the state forests, especially I have got even one proposal from Tamil Nadu. So Tamil Nadu State Forest Department has also sent a proposal for landslide mitigation program for Tamil Nadu. So like that, your point is well taken, and even in that committee, Geological Survey of India, they are also members. Plus, all national level agencies are member in that committee.
Any
states will have more interest in this.
any of the Western Himalayan states or the Western Ghat states?
Or otherwise, we will ask Dr. Surya Prakash.
I wanted to make some suggestions to Dr. Paliwal, because when we are responding to landslides, there are some typical characteristics which each of the responder must consider. That is the type of material into which they are responding. most of these landslides, because rains, as he also mentioned, they were continuous for 3 days. And they may continue during operation, as he also mentioned, bad weather continued. These landslides have a character of recurrence. They can get remobilized, and even the rescuer's life can itself be at risk. That is the first point they have to take care, and this can be only guided by a technical expert, either a district geologist or a geologist from Geological Survey of India, whoever is available near to that place. The second is that whenever you are getting this information, for example, more than 60 people, they got killed, although it doesn't seem to a very deep-seated landslide. So the depth dimensions, both the width and the length or the height of the landslides, they make a lot of difference. And locating people, where they can be buried. In landslides, if golden hours we take 72 hours, there are less than 4 hours. People can actually get out of that landslide if they know how to come out and what way they are actually buried underneath. So ये चीजें हमें local communities, we must teach them that in case they are living in landslide prone area and if they get trapped, then how to save yourself and protect others. I know one of the cases from Uttarakhand, Batsadi village. It took place on 1st July 2016. The rescuers, they rescued some of the villagers when landslide event happened. That was a debris flow. And immediately after 2 hours, another event happened and all the rescuers themselves also got buried. More than, I think, 19 casualties happened at that time. So these kind of operations need to be very much guided by technical experts. That is the first advice I would write. Second, the early warning systems, they have to be very site specific. They cannot be just monitored and given based on amount of rainfall. Local level displacement and deformations also need to be monitored by an appropriate agency or organization. Then only these can be depended upon. So 2 advices I will say. Thank you.
I think now we will go to our third speaker. Actually, Dr. Binod Kumar, he's Miss IPS, Miss IGP in Assam, but we can start making his points, and then his senior station officer, he will make presentation. So I request Mr. Binod Kumar to take over. He will present. Okay. So Mr. Irfan Khan. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. Honorable Chair, Co-Chair, Senior Most Officers, and our NDRF officers present over here. First of all, I would like to thank NDRF for providing me an opportunity to speak on the subject on the lesson learned from Silchar Floods. At the same time, I feel it's an honor to represent my state in this particular forum. So before going into the details, I would like to highlight about the topography details of the Silchar town. Next slide, please. The Silchar town is one of the most important towns of Assam. It is located at least 400 kilometers southeast of Guwahati. This particular town provides access to 3 important districts of Assam, namely Karimganj, Hailakandi, and the Kachar district itself. In fact, this particular town also provides access to the 3 other northeastern states, namely Manipur, Mizoram, and Tripura. So, like Assam is vulnerable to floods and landslides as well as earthquake, this particular town is not an exception. Next. I would like to add one point. The Silchar town is surrounded by the Barak River in all the 3 sites. And on the western side, the river Ghagra flows, which is also one of the tributaries of the Barak River. With regard to the floods that occurred in the year 2022, IMD issued early warnings that there will be heavy rainfall in the northeastern states, including Assam and the Silchar town. In fact, the prediction was of 150 mm to 200 mm daily rainfall, which might extend up to 500 mm. So accordingly, advisories were issued to all the stakeholders, and people were requested to move out of their residences, which were more specifically lying in low-lying areas. Apart from that, people residing in and around vulnerable locations were requested to shift the nearest relief camps or the nearest school community buildings for shelter. The intensity of rainfall was such that it caused a flood-like situation in the entire town. Next. So we can have a clear distinction between the pre-disaster scenario and the post-disaster scenario. And the top left, we can see the railway station of Haflong. Just after the disaster, what is the condition we can see? It's completely washed away with mudslides. And bottom picture, we can see the aerial view of the Silchar town just before rainfall and what happened after the heavy rainfall that entirely inundated the town. So these pictures are self-explanatory. Next. Next. So basically what we understand from experts that the primary reasons for flooding was the unprecedented heavy rainfall. In fact, such was the intensity of the rainfall that it was recorded highest in the last 10 years. Okay. It was the highest in the last 10 years. I would like to add one more thing. Like our Honorable Chief Minister Sir said, that this particular flood was largely because of man-made activities. In fact, one of the dikes in the Batkundi area, which is almost 2-3 kilometers away from the Silchar town, was cut off by the people residing there. It was basically cut off so that to allow the accumulated water in the particular locality to flow to the Barak River. But as soon as the rainfall intensity increased, the impact was reversed. The Barak River, which was flowing above danger level, all the water level of the Barak River gushed into the city and flooded entire locality. Besides, the man-made activities like encroachment and rapid urbanization were additional factors. One more thing, the geographical location of Silchar town is such that as soon as there is a high intensity of rainfall, the swamps area get flooded up. And this time the situation was such that in a very short notice of time, the entire town was inundated with floodwaters. In fact, experts suggest that the rise of water level was 2 centimeters per hour. So honestly, we have to accept this fact that the anticipation of the flood water level rise was not anticipated properly. And basically this arose only due to the destruction of the dike at Batkundi area. So as our honorable speakers earlier had mentioned that Silchar floods occurred in 2 waves. The first wave occurred in the month of in the month of May, where the water level increased in 24 hours by almost 1 meter. The danger level of the water reduced only on the 23rd of May. So rescue operations was accordingly mobilized since 14th of May, and every morning our team rushed to the incident place and the inundated areas to conduct rescue operations. However, the intensity of the flood in the second wave was much more severe. We had very less time to respond because the manner in which the intensity of rainfall was there, the entire area got inundated within 24 hours. In fact, in the night of 19 June, people did not took the advisories, the alerts seriously, and entire area got inundated. So things went out of the control of the district administration, and as such, state had to intervene in all these rescue and search and rescue relief operations. In fact, airdropping teams were called in to provide relief operations. For almost 13 days, the entire Barak River was flowing above danger level. Reports suggest that almost 14 lakhs population were exposed to floods, which include 3.66 lakhs children were affected due to floods, in fact, exposed to floods. With regard to preparedness, as per standard operating procedures, we had a disaster management plan, contingency plan. SDRF teams in Assam had been deployed in 53 locations, whereas in Silchar town, 4 teams were already deployed during the monsoon session. Several rounds of flood preparedness meeting were also held. Coordination was maintained, resources were mobilized and upkeep. In fact, a WhatsApp group was also informed, and all the weather alerts were shared amongst the stakeholders. With regard to response of the flood, during the first wave of flood, which occurred from 14 to 20 May, and the second wave of flood, which was carried out with effect from 19 June to 30 June, during that flood period, DUC was activated. There was dedicated landline numbers in place with handheld satellites. There was continuous coordination with Water Resource Department, Hydrolit Project of Mizoram for continuous updates on water level status. There was exchange of communication with VHF sets which were provided with the APRO staff. In fact, total resources that were involved in response to the flood were 68 numbers of boats were involved, out of which 8 were from SDRF. NDRF engaged 34 rescue boats. Boats were provided from CRPF, Army, as well as county boats were also put into action for rescue operations. Apart from that, relief camps were set up, relief centers were set up, pumps were used, ambulances were in place for responding to the flood disaster. As I've already said, we had received active assistance from NDRF. I would like to really very much grateful for their active support, as well as the Abda Midra played a very important role during the flood response. And manpower from nearby fire stations were also deputed for conducting the rescue operations during the flood period. Now coming back to the challenge that we faced in rescue operations, that as the city was entirely inundated with water, in fact, some of the locations, the water rose up to 12 feet. In that case, what happened, that when our boats were moving through the inundated areas, the propeller of the OBMs, the rubber boats got ruptured, primarily due to the boundary walls projections, the rods which are projected in boundary walls, that ruptured our boats, and this caused difficulty in maneuvering our boats. The boats could not take sharp turns. There were very congested lanes. So this was one of the challenges that we faced during the Silchar floods. Apart from that, as the entire city was inundated with flood water, so there was large-scale power outage. There was no alternatives with us to recharge our wireless sets. We had to move distance to get our VHF sets replaced or recharge our batteries. In fact, there was no internet connectivity among the responders. Huge number of distress calls were received. People at the initial stage did not take the advisory seriously, but when the water level rose beyond the expectations, then people made a lot of hue and cry, and they made n number of calls to our responding agencies. Another important challenge what we faced during the Silchar flood was the distribution of packed safe drinking water. Like I said, the boats that were in action could not accommodate large number of relief materials to provide each and every houses that were inundated with flood waters. So that was another challenge during rescue operation. And one of the important things that we faced during Silchar floods was that mobilization of resources. As I have already said, that the road and rail connectivity was completely destroyed during the Silchar floods. And what happened then, the Silchar town was completely cut off from the state headquarters of Guwahati city. So that posed a real challenge. Such was the challenge that for mobilization of resources, we had to transport our resources and equipments, in fact boats, by air to Silchar town. So that was another important, one of the more major challenges. People that were residing outside the area were making large number of calls. They were directing us to move to this particular place. Their relatives are stranded. So that was a bit challenging task to respond each and every call in a short notice. although a sufficient number of teams were in place. One of the most important challenge that we face is that the disaster severity in such large scale was not anticipated within a short time. In fact, within 24 hours, the water level of Barak River rose straight 1 meter up. So this was a major challenge. In fact, it surprised us too, that how in a short period of time such disaster covered the entire Silchar town. So during the rescue operations, with regard to the SDRF operations, in fact, in the first phase, we rescued 481 persons, and in fact evacuated. In the second phase, we evacuated near about 1,600 persons from the inundated areas. Altogether, 70,000 people were evacuated in joint operations. The livestock that were saved by SDRF were 16. Human life, unfortunately, some lives were lost during the floods of 2022. Here I would like to emphasize on one of the important aspects is that the very remarkable achievement, in fact, due to the capacity building programs and continuous efforts of NDMA, NDRF, and the level of awareness program that are being carried out at very micro level, the impact of disaster was reduced to some extent, because as compared to the number of population that were affected or exposed to flood, the casualty was a bit less as compared to previous years. So we we come to a conclusion that the achievement was comparatively good. These are the snapshots of rescue operations. We can see the relief materials that are provided. People are mobilized to safer places. So the lessons that we learned from the Silchar flood is that we must continuously update our disaster management plans at local levels, and more focus should be on community participation. There should be a robust telecommunication system with provision of batteries, extra batteries, solar mobile chargers in disaster-prone areas. In fact, there should be a wireless communication system or a SMS gateway system, like the cell broadcasting system that can be utilized for alerting the locality at panchayat level or ward level. As there was lighting issues, so we may look into the advanced lighting arrangements for prolonged operations. In fact, the ASCA light that were used could not be utilized in all the areas because due to the height of the tube, it got struck into some wires and other obstructions. There should be a dedicated workshop for repairing all the boats or the OBMs that were damaged during rescue operations. More focus should be laid on awareness campaign and training, especially to the vulnerable sections of the society. Although NDMA has supported us to raise Apta Midra, more such initiatives should be taken up to raise such volunteers, because they, during the disaster operations, we found very helpful in the Apta Mitras were helpful in mobilizing the local resources, and they came up with the novel ideas of improvised boat. More numbers of simulation-based joint exercises should be conducted, and formal as well as informal interactions should also be conducted among the different stakeholders. So apart from that, we come to, we face some challenges, like there should be a data facilitating center which provide an updated information on the resource availability and the requirement for responding to any disaster situation, advanced deployment of police security personnel to check if there is any attempt of sabotage, and pre-survey of all the embankments should be done prior to advent of the monsoon session. And another important thing is that strategic locations should be identified for helipads, because the boats which are mobilized to Silchar town had to be moved to the Silchar airport, and from there that were transported to this affected town. So this took substantial amount of time. As earlier said, our honorable speakers emphasize on the effective use of an incident response system that should be emphasized into response mechanism, and a dedicated call center should be in place with web-based information on all the affected families, relatives, family members, so that at a glance we can have a fair idea where they are rehabilitated or where they are placed during the disaster situations. So with this, I would like to conclude my presentation. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir.
So thank you, Mr. Irfan. It is very exhaustive, very interesting presentation. Actually, with this way forward, there are 2-3 good points you have mentioned, and that we also keep insisting. This district disaster management plans which have been prepared, actually we expect that that is being updated regularly. So that has to be reviewed by DDMAs. But yes, there are a lot of delay in many places. So I think with at national level also we will keep reminding all the states to update their state disaster management plan as well as the district disaster management plans. This is a quite good suggestion, and that can be followed up. So with this we can open up forum for questions. You have? No. Okay. So any questions? Questions, suggestions, yeah. Any of we are, yeah, please.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Actually, as we all, sir, I'm Sachin Chauhan, I'm from NDRF Academy. Actually, as the speaker emphasized the need for having effective communication system during disasters. And as we know, sir, that communication is the first casualty during any disaster. So just during this situation, the ham radio communication as an alternative mode, it plays an important role for passing and dissemination of the information, like what rescue operations are being carried out with the community, sir. So just I want to know whether any ham radio stations are, they were in operation during Silchar floods, like, sir, just I want to know that. And this type of measures or integrating the ham communication in our response, it plays a pivotal role, sir, and we can give a better coordinated response during disasters, sir. Thank you very much.
APRO has set up a very good communication network. We have a separate Assam Police Radio Organization. So that organization has set up a very good communication network. So that worked there. So we didn't need any handheld system. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I think basically the in district disaster management plan, if I am not wrong, they have to also keep the list of people who are ham communication expert. So I think that's what precisely he has mentioned, that it was many things were not updated. So this kind of things can also be included in while reviewing the management plan. Sir, you wanted to say? That particular time it may not be requiring, but in management plan it's also there.
I just want to share some experience. I've been with NDMA for 13 years, since 2009 till I superannuated, second time in life. I've personally been to the entire country, all states, all districts, and conducted personally on my quota 965 mock exercises. My experience has been that updation of the district and state plans is required to be done every year. While those plans are updated, every stakeholder whose name and the person who's got a responsibility in that plan must read it. My experience is that the plans were there. When I asked the question that how many of you have read it, no, not more than 1 or 2 hands come up. So therefore it is important that the Chief Secretary of the state, the district magistrate of the district takes a certificate from all these stakeholders And the IRTs, as per the IRS, that they have read the plan and they understand their role and responsibility. Secondly, we lack a dedicated disaster management network. While there is police network in every state, there is no dedicated disaster management network, which is a dire need today to create one all over the country. Some states have done it. Uttarakhand is one example. They have spent money from their pocket. Today, 5 to 6 VHF sets cost only 10,000 rupees. It is available in the open market. You don't even need a license for that. And line-to-line communication, especially in a hilly area, it covers 250 kilometers and at least 3 to 4 kilometers, depending on line of sight. So this can be done through the state disaster response funds with every state government to build your own disaster management network. Resource inventories and all that, it is a continuous plan and process as part of the capacity building. It's a continuous process. It is not when a disaster strikes or something. It is a continuous process to be done by the state governments, by the district authorities, every organization and every agency which is going to respond during a disaster. Thank you, sir.
I think anyone, any question? Otherwise.
That we need to have these plans. In these plans, you need to.
Please, ma'am, you introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm sorry, sir. I'm in Reena Tripathi. I'm advisor disaster management, Indian Red Cross Society. So, sir, integration like these plans, the NGOs which have the presence on in the field, in the ground, at the district level, block levels, that should also be integrated. And before the monsoon onset, they should also be integrated on these plans. So that will supplement the effort of the government.
I think this is good suggestion. I think NDMA may take note of this while issuing the instructions or guidelines to SDMS and DDMS. I think it can be done. Yeah. With this, we can close this session. I think we have overshooted by around 10 minutes. Because we started around some 10-15 minutes late. So with this, we can close this session and let's meet for tea.
Thank you, the chair, co-chair, and worthy speakers of the second session. The session has given an overview on lesson learned from the disasters and way ahead on preparation for future disaster challenges. Unquestionably, an eye-opener for all of us. Thank you, sir. Now I request Shri Narendra Singh Bundela, IPS, IG, NDRF, to present memento to all the honorable chair, co-chair, and all the panelists. Mr. Irfan, aap hi. With this, we come to an end of this penultimate session of today's event. Now we'll have a short and crisp tea break of 10 minutes only, and we'll be reassembling at 15:55 hours immediately. Thank you so much. ब्रेक के बाद सर सीधा सेशन